Hey everybody, it's Jake here again, and I am going to go ahead and dub over the next game I played against the Pilferer in the Dominion League for our division. So I am going to tell you right off the bat that you might not find this game to be as interesting or engaging, at least not on my part, because of the strategy I play. I am uploading it because it's a league match, and I kind of just do all of those. But you might find this game interesting. Depends what you like about Dominions. So right away, looking at the board, and we'll come back to that, you can see that there are some cards that are usually, sorry about that, usually quite strong. We've got a governor and we've got wharf, but and we have a village for it too. But we also have cultist and uh, I am going to continue the farce of trying. Yeah, we also have cultist. So, the thing is that cultist also has training support and the other strategies that you could do. Oh, you've bridge too. The other strategies you could do on this board are going to have a really hard time dealing with the junk from cultist. And at the same time, cultist has training, so the ability to play big money in cultist is just really strong and really fast here, I think. And I think it beats these other things because it's slowing them down by junking them. So we look at that. I've just straight up opened silver, silver. He grabs a fortune teller and a silver. Um, if you are not worried about terminal space, then the fortune teller is strictly better than the silver, but I am, so I'm not getting it. I just go silver, silver, so I can get a cultist. He gets a wharf. Usually a really strong card. I don't think it fits in this deck. No, so, I mean, I can give you spoilers here. I do play big money cultists, and I get training. And what else could you do here? So, what what would you do here, and how would you counter somebody going big money cultist? Well, there are a few things that you could look at. The governor can trash the ruins. That's not very good, though. The thinning is really bad. You could potentially just draw through it. If you feel like you have time, you could build up with enough farming villages and wharves, potentially governor here and there. Maybe a journeyman, but I think wharf is better terminal draw if you're going to be worried about terminal space. But if you've got the time for it, maybe you could go ahead and build to a deck that just draws through all the junk and gets value out of its turns anyway. If any source of draw can do that, Wharf is among it. So you see here, he goes for something that is kind of half cultist, half this other deck that I'm talking about. If you're not going to be doing the cultist big money thing that I do, there are a few different directions you could go with the deck. There are lots of really viable ways to win this game, and I think the best one, if cultists weren't here, would be if cultists and training both weren't here, would be a Farmingville and Bridge mega turn enabled by draw with wharves. That's probably what I would go for, and I might skip governor actually, which I usually don't do. So he goes for this. I just drain all the cultists because I'm not really having a problem hitting my price points. He goes for a half and half, and the half and half might be pretty strong if you don't get too hosed on the ruin split, but I decide that I like the pure cultist big money strategy, mostly because of training. Because the training makes it so easy to hit 8, and he embargoes the wharves, which I think hurts him more than it hurts me. I'm not interested in wharves. And I probably clicked those cultists way too fast, caused a pretty bad shuffle, made this turn terrible. So, that's cool. And let's see. Yeah, so it's turn 12, and oh yeah, this is cool. He trashes. I get to trash with his governor, and I forget Poorhouse is in the kingdom. Poorhouse is the most common culprit of being accidentally gained, I think, just because of how it's the only card in Dominion that costs one, other than the shelters, which you can't gain. It doesn't matter. So he is building this deck, which again I think would be really, really strong if not for cultists junking and the ability of training to just play a pretty relatively efficient big money. I mean, don't get me wrong, the cultist training big money isn't fast as far as Dominion goes or as far as money goes, but given that it is such a slog because of the junk the cultists are handing out, I'm so relatively fast compared to him because he can't get anything done. So at that point, I'm a little more disciplined about causing the shuffle. I'm not just clicking my cultist like an idiot. So um, let's see how long that lasts. And he gets another governor. I do think that if you're not going to be going for the cultists, you do probably not skip governors, but I don't think you get very many of them. I certainly don't think you embargo the wharves. Like the wharves are a pretty important card to you. But I think you go for bridges. And at this point, I have a choice to make, and I decide that I could trash a cultist and gain a gold and draw 3 cards. And let's see, I do believe I do that at some point. Yeah. So I decide to do that because I can. The gold is about as valuable to me as the cultist, and it makes this turn better to do it. So my thinking is that it's kind of value neutral in terms of what I'm doing to my deck, and it's a value add for this turn to trash the cultist and gain a gold. I don't think I'm going to have a hard time hitting province either way, but I'm counting my money to see if I've hit province already. So I do, and I get one, and this turn is going to suck, but money decks are not by nature consistent. So what do? I get a silver, of course I do. So we can kind of speed this along. Oh, he does something a little weird. He gets an embargo and embargoes the provinces. So I can link my embargo article in the description here. This is not something you do when you are behind. When you are already behind on provinces, you do not embargo them unless you have some way of gaining them. Now, okay, actually, he has a really good point to do it because if he's going to be gaining his provinces with governor, then I get curses getting them and he doesn't. Never mind. Forget what I said. What he did was actually pretty good. Um, don't get me wrong. I think he's playing the wrong deck for this board, and I think that that's going to lose him the game, regardless of me getting curses. But given that, that was fine. Normally, when your opponent's ahead, embargoing provinces is really terrible unless you are never going for them. Maybe you're scoring with Vineyard or something. So yeah, this game is gonna play out pretty quickly. And I say quickly in terms of like the amount of time it takes, because there's not a whole lot of time you have to spend like thinking or anything, because at least not me. My deck is really simple. It's not fast in terms of how many turns it takes. You see, it's turn 21 and the game is not over. That's snail's pace, really. So, uh, this is pretty well in the bag, and you see, it's really not close. I don't even, and you can argue about what the better deck to build here if you're not going for this cultist big money slog thing is, but I think that you, I think that no matter what you do, it's going to lose to cultists with training and no efficient way to deal with the junk. So, anyway, I am going to go ahead and upload this, and thank you for watching, and I'm sorry this game wasn't a little more engaging. Hopefully you can get something out of it anyway, in terms of just strategic insight, but I will talk to you next time. If I can figure out how to close my overlay. There we go.